Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and here we are. Finally, we'll be discussing the third and hopefully last installment in the Day of Dragons series. In previous segments, we have covered a great many topics, from the Steam terms of service violations, consistent lies and misrepresentations, and the rampant unprofessionalism of the Day of Dragons team, with Jaos himself being the primary example of what it means to act more like a child throwing a temper tantrum than a professional developing a video game. Also, a special shout out and correction. In my previous video, I kept referring to an individual by NG, which was a clear mistake on my part. The person being discussed actually goes by NR, and for that, I do deeply apologize. It was a rather silly mistake on my part, but it was a mistake nonetheless. Now, in this video, I will do my best to wrap things up, and yes, there will be a rather lengthy rant or discussion at the end. But before we get to my final thoughts on all of this, we still have a lot of ground to cover that includes Jaos willfully and deliberately doxing an individual in an attempt to weaponize his followers, even more gross misrepresentations surrounding the game, and of course, rampant hypocrisy from the Day of Dragons moderation team that caused them to support an individual that had convinced a minor to stop taking their anti-anxiety medication and continued in an extremely emotionally manipulative situation. Obviously, due to the content of that portion of the video, this video will certainly be demonetized. However, what little ad revenue will remain will be donated to a local teen center and youth outreach program. That said, let's kick things off, shall we? Pettiness, spitefulness, and direct weaponization of a follower base. These are the hallmark of what anyone with any form of following should never engage in. I myself know this full well, as do most YouTubers, and within this particular situation, myself, IGP, and Icy Caress have taken great pains to directly avoid these behaviors. Ironically enough, all three of us have been accused of exactly that, while at the same time completely ignoring or in some cases forgiving Jaos for directly weaponizing his follower base that resulted in endangering a person's job and also forced the company he works for to scramble a legal team to prepare in any resulting leaks. I was reached out to by the individual in question and was provided the following statement, and due to the nature of his employment and at his request, I am redacting the name of the AAA company he works for and the games mentioned within the statement. I work for a redacted AAA corporation. I was hired as a developer for this company a few months before a redacted AAA game released this year, and I'm still currently contracted with them. For a while now, I have a lot of information on my personal computer and cell phone with sensitive information about future updates, content, and games in the works for production. Needless to say, any breach of my contract regarding the NDA, this information requires legal action if stolen or leaked off of my hardware and software. Here is what Jaos did. I sent him an email a few months ago regarding my frustration with his Kickstarter that I backed at the start, but I was displeased with the lack of information. Around October, I sent him an email. The language was unprofessional, but regardless, he responded with this screenshot. This screenshot was taken on a post on October 16th, 2019. As you can see, I have censored my info on the screenshot for purposes that may be obvious. Jaos leaked my information, causing his followers in his Discord to dig deeper, and they got more personal and sensitive information, causing a security breach at the company, causing the legal team to run security and legal preparations for any info that might have been taken resulting from the leak. And the screenshot in question is this one that is on your screen now. It is rather inflammatory and vitriolic and probably shouldn't have been sent at all. However, Jaos did indeed post this onto his Discord, including this person's full name, his email address, and even his cell phone number, which apparently was configured into his Gmail account settings. The reason is blatantly obvious. If Jaos had wanted to complain about what someone sent him, he would not have included personal contact information. If Jaos had wanted to garner some form of sympathy from his followers, he would not have included personal contact information. The only conceivable reason for Jaos to do this in this manner would be to deliberately and directly weaponize his follower base to attack the individual in question. And it's a little bit ironic that some of Jaos' more, shall we say, devout followers have accused IGP, Icy Caress, and myself of attempting to weaponize our viewership to direct hate against Jaos, when Jaos literally and publicly doxes a stranger with a deliberate attempt, which worked, to weaponize his own followers over the sheer audacity of sending an inflammatory email. What Jaos did here was in direct violation of Discord's rules and guidelines. It was exceptionally petty, it was spiteful, and it was wrong. But this simply seems to be Jaos' way.
This is the way.
Remember the 22nd of December. I would say recently, but as this video has been significantly delayed, I should say nearly a month ago now, Jaos appeared to go through a full-on meltdown within his own Discord. As many members of that community suspect, I do have visibility into that Discord, and I was watching throughout the course of the day, and what I saw led me to wonder if Jaos was either suffering a mental break, was exceptionally intoxicated on something, or some form of combination of the three. Unfortunately, not much visual information remains on what was happening at the time, as I was not in a position to be able to create a video recording of the events, so allow me to provide a brief synopsis of Jaos' actions. Over the course of the day, he renamed his account numerous times, created, destroyed, and recreated numerous alt accounts of himself as these different names that included Thanos, Optimus Prime, Mary Poppins Y'all, and others. Referred to himself in the third person and pretended not to be himself, even at a few times seeming to carry on conversations with himself in the public Discord, constantly destroyed and recreated the main public channel of the Discord in a joking imitation of quote-unquote Thanos snaps, mocked, belittled, and derided anyone who grew irritated with his puerile actions, and issued numerous bans throughout the course of the day, often for no clear reason as to why. This screenshot shows a bit of some of the early conversations about the events of the day and the early levels of irritation it caused. However, as time wore on and Jaos' actions ran unabated, the Day of Dragons Discord all but imploded, causing the moderators to lock down all but a single channel before finally locking it down as well. That, of course, caused members to flood into the voice channels where it was a madhouse for hours, while Jaos listened in silently for the majority of the time. And apparently, Jaos decided to speak up shortly after I left the voice channel, as I felt I had better things to do with my time, so I was not there firsthand to hear what Jaos had said, although I've been told he had a few spicy things to say about me specifically. As to be expected, numerous participants did not wish to have the contents of those voice channels recorded, but this is the internet, and so naturally recordings do exist, so I was able to hear a bit more of what happened after I left. Naturally, I had to do a bit of double checking just to make certain I myself would not be in violation of any laws for obtaining or publishing any such recordings. Now, as I said, there were a great many people involved from all over the country, which from my checking with various other parties that I was aware of and had been in communication with, included at minimum 5 different states within the US. As that is the case, the pertinent laws that would apply would be at the federal level, which requires single-party consent, meaning only the individual recording the conversations need to consent to its recording, and they also are under no obligation to disclose the fact that they are recording to the other parties. And for those of you that will undoubtedly disagree with me, you can look it up for yourself. The relevant law is 18 U.S. Code subsection 25112D, which reads, "It shall not be unlawful," meaning it shall be legal, under this chapter for a person not acting under color of law to intercept a wire, oral, or electronic communication where such person is a party to the communication or where one of the parties to the communication has given prior consent to such interception, unless such communication is intercepted for the purposes of committing any criminal or tortious act in violation of the Constitution or laws of the United States or of any state. So now that we're clear that the recording was obtained in a legal manner in my traditional come-at-me heretic ways, here is a bit of a snip of Jaos himself and his opinions of his exceptionally unprofessional behavior.
I will definitely make sure that I am going to behave according to what you feel is acceptable for a CEO of a company from now on.
You just got to remember, dude, it's business. It's not personal. You can't take this stuff personal.
I'm being sarcastic. I really don't care what people think about how I act or not. I'm going to be who I am.
You better,
Dude,
man.
you don't even get the point.
Oh my god.
Like the only problem.
But
Later on, Jaos actually handed over ownership of the Day of Dragons Discord to Midnight, the team's lead moderator, and left the Discord. The following day, Midnight had posted this statement to the announcements channel, which reads, "As you may have noticed, Jaos has removed himself from the Discord to take some time to reflect, rest, and focus on the important things. Please do not bother him during this time. If you have questions or concerns, feel free to direct them towards myself or another Discord staff member. Starting after Christmas, we will be changing the format of the Discord community. For now, our moderators will be on vacation, and the currently open chats will remain opened and unmoderated. Please remain respectful. We will make an announcement before any changes are made. We know the recent incidents and drama has taken a toll on the community, the game, and the staff. You have all given us so much love, support, and faith, and we promise to deliver to you the results you deserve. We are listening, and we will do better. And do better, they have not. Bans have continued, with numerous cases over the past few weeks of people being banned for out-of-context reasons, and sometimes no reasons at all, with many of the moderators blocking anyone wishing to attempt to dispute their ban. Many of you will undoubtedly see this segment as little more than needless drama. However, I felt it warranted an inclusion, as it is important from the standpoint that Jaos is completely unwilling and incapable of acting in a professional or even respectful manner with his own community. This is important because if no thought is ever given as to the ramifications of one's actions, there is no willingness to entertain even legitimate feedback and critique. The capacity for learning and for growth as a developer will be severely stunted, if not completely non-existent, with such a mentality as that. Jaos' own actions had thrown his entire community into turmoil and brought about even more severe doubt that he holds the capacity and dedication necessary to actually create the game. Here is another example of that mentality. Jaos, during one of the times that he had renamed himself as Thanos, had the following to say in response to people asking if Jaos would at least attempt to settle things amicably between himself, IGP, and Icy Caress. "They're not interested in clearing anything up. They're trying to take me out of the gaming industry. They fear me. They fear the hype. They fear my fans. They fear my fast updates. And they want to take over the market."
This is the way. This is the way.
This speaks of little more than delusion born from an egomaniacal mentality. No one fears Jaos. No one fears his fans. IGP and Icy Caress clearly hold no interest in, quote, taking over the market. Icy Caress's Dawn O' Dragons was a test to showcase how such a game could be created by a person with no prior development skills in a matter of weeks. And he not only accomplished that, but he actually managed to make several notable design improvements over Jaos' developed by numbers attempt at mashing together a bunch of disparate Unreal Engine store assets. Icy Caress has also stated numerous times that he holds no desire to sell or market his attempt, successful though it was. A non-disclosure agreement for a game development team and their public moderators and public relations team is a common occurrence. As Discord is the common source of communication for many indie development teams, there is a great deal of privileged information contained within private channels, and so it is only natural to seek protection for intellectual property. However, until recently, no NDA was ever enforced on the moderators of the Discord or the members of the Discord with the now removed Dragon Tester's role, who still enjoy access to the game development server, which allows those players preview access to updates before they are released. That changed the day before Christmas Eve when a new NDA was pushed out requiring a signature by those who wished to remain within 24 hours. And at first glance, I personally, through my non-lawyery ways, did not see much wrong with the NDA outside of its ludicrous 5-year term and no effective buy or end date posted on the document that those individuals were being required to sign. There not being any sort of effective buy date, I found to be rather shady in my opinion, as it would allow Jaos to backdate the agreement, potentially making those that signed it legally actionable for statements made or information shared when they were under no contractually binding form of prevention. However, there was at least one individual that seemed to be a bit more lawyery than myself who seems to understand such things far better than I, and this is what they had to say. There's no effective buy date. There's no end date. It doesn't specify the receiving party. It doesn't specify what kind of information is even confidential. It doesn't state the nature of the confidential material either. If Jaos made them sign a normal NDA, which this is clearly a template to, and was not looked over by a lawyer, it wouldn't be legally binding, even with their real names, because there is specifically mutual NDA, non-mutual NDA, and a volunteer NDA. It can be easy to assume that you have got the correct party named on the NDA, but it's always important to check that you do indeed have the correct name. Even simple things such as forgetting to include the word limited or spelling a company's name wrongly can result in disastrous consequences. If Jaos uses his own name or his business is not registered correctly, it would also render the NDA moot, not to mention if what he is asking is too broad or too unspecific. Sometimes courts will even knock a person for demanding that confidentiality be preserved indefinitely when the secret doesn't warrant it, and there is clearly no date here. The NDA can also be invalidated if someone received the confidential information not through your disclosure but through an entirely separate third party. For example, if the staff member received the confidential information through an independent supplier with no relationship to you, you cannot demand in your NDA that the receiving party keep that information confidential. And even if it were real, which it is not, by the way, when an employee is presented with a new set of terms or a new agreement, it is not considered to be enforceable unless consideration is present. But the courts have held that that consideration cannot be the same as previously offered or given. It has to be more, and this is called fresh consideration.
Boom! Lawyer.
And because this is Day of Dragons and that team seems completely incapable of doing anything without royally screwing things up, Jaos' former lead admin resurfaced and rejoined the team to engage in what appeared to be a bit of emotional manipulation to attempt to push moderators to sign the NDA. The following screenshots were released to me under the promise that all usernames would be fully redacted by me. The first screenshot shows a communication between a now former moderator and the lead admin, and for the sake of preventing confusion, the redacted green segments are the now former moderator and the redacted red segments are the lead admin. And as the lead admin does refer to the moderator by name once, I will be changing the name to Dave. Everyone on the same page now? We good? Excellent. In this, the moderator expresses that they will be resigning, to which the lead admin continued to pressure them to sign without pressuring them to sign in what appears, at least to me, to be manipulative tactics with questions like, do you want to hurt Day of Dragons? If you don't, then sign it. You going to suddenly start giving your opinions to the public? You haven't yet. You going to leak screenshots? You haven't, I don't think. Do you think you will ever say anything in a public forum to debase the game? To which Dave responded, debase as in what? Anything negative? I'd never trash talk / be rude about the game, but if asked, I would be honest about its current state. I have no idea if that fits your definition of debasing. As a mod, I've made sure to never say anything like that. For me, debasing the game would be spreading negativity with the intention of discrediting it, and saying your honest opinion isn't that. He then went on to pressure the moderator again using a different tactic of Jaos no longer owning the Discord, which in fact matters not at all, as the NDA would be for the company and the project, and Jaos' ownership of the Discord server is meaningless as it is in ownership by a staff member of the company. He then tries to push again, stating that it would be fine to sign because if there was anything they didn't like, then they could petition its amendment with Jaos, which, as any amendments or changes must be agreed upon by both parties, still does not provide any form of meaningful protection for the moderator, as Jaos could simply say no. And given Jaos' general lack of caring that we have already discussed previously in this video, any amendments that could be brought about would almost certainly be shot down by Jaos unless it were to be to directly benefit him. And this seemingly forceful and heavy-handed tactic was apparently leveraged against more than a single moderator, as the lead admin returned sometime later with an apology stating, if I in any way offended or pressured you during this process with the NDAs, then I apologize, for it was not my intent. It has come to light that many people believe that it was my motive to guilt-trip individuals into signing. I was messaging you under the assumption that we were friends, and I approached it accordingly. As aforementioned, I deeply apologize for any offense that I may have caused. And of course, that apology came about a short while after the lead admin's actions were brought to light and being discussed in other forums. Perhaps they realized that this was an extremely idiotic thing to do, or perhaps they simply did not realize they were doing it. Neither are truly acceptable in terms of an adequate excuse. You do not attempt to manipulate your team into signing legally binding agreements in order to better enforce and maintain their silence. You do not attempt to mislead and misdirect them with promises of potential changes that can in no way be guaranteed and in all likelihood would never be brought about, and you do not use emotional coercion. Emotional and mental manipulation is one of the few things in this world that I thoroughly despise. I have seen too many abusive relationships in this world to not feel a knot of rage filling in my gut at the prospect. Now, earlier in this video, I discussed how Day of Dragons claims that more than one of the hard-code bans were put in place to prevent predatory behavior within their game, protecting minors, which would be a laudable goal if they followed that up with reporting to the appropriate authorities. However, their claims tend to fall on deaf ears when they instead turn a blind eye to one individual that engaged in emotionally manipulative behavior to convince an underage girl to stop taking her antidepressants. Again, I bring these up because these are situations that are damaging to the members of the Day of Dragons community, the players of the game, and underscores the willful incompetence of its managers and members of its team. A few things to be aware of. There is a separate Discord community that goes by Uncensored Day of Dragons, which was created when the ridiculous and, dare I say, draconian moderation tactics grew too severe. The document that was released was done so with the minor in question being aware of its creation. However, she was supposed to be able to review the document prior to its release, which was not accomplished due to her taking a hiatus from the Discord. The document was released early because of the actions and statements made by the Day of Dragons moderation team. That said, I thought it prudent to read the statement, and I will overlay the pertinent attached screenshots when they are posted within the statement. It has been brought to the attention of the upper management of Uncensored Day of Dragons that there has been significant emotional abuse happening in the Day of Dragons official server that ultimately led to the physical endangerment of a vulnerable minor. A user by the name of Crystalline Eagle, a member of the now deleted Dragon Tester role, spoke to the victim regularly in voice calls during which he would publicly berate them in front of other testers, accuse them of being weak links, and even went so far as to convince them to stop taking their antidepressants while allowing them to continue taking other medications. It is important to know that Eagle is over 10 years older than his victim in this scenario. Now, I'm quite sure we do not need to express how dangerous this situation was, convincing somebody to go off their clinically prescribed medication designed to help them cope and function and to keep them safe from harm. This was, with no exaggeration, a case of physical endangerment. The victim approached their friends initially, expressing concern and hurt over a recent outburst Eagle had subjected them to, in which he accused them of being the weakest link in the Dragon Tester role and admonished them publicly in front of a fellow tester who was forced to step in at the time and suggest the victim take a step back from the situation. With the support of their friends, the victim was encouraged to reach out to the Day of Dragons staff team, especially when the victim then told them of the medication situation. The Day of Dragons staff team displayed a lackluster response to this serious situation, not even initially addressing it with the victim themselves, and after over a 24-hour period of being aware of the emotional abuse going on, told the victim that Eagle had only been concerned about their health and happiness and had meant well. They initially gave Eagle a warning, the same warning strike that their bot hands out automatically for using bad words, and said they might consider further punishment going forward. We cannot stress at this juncture how damaging the support of Eagle from staff members was in this situation, that the victim was told that their abuser only did it out of concern for them. Considering that this abuse was as much emotional as it became physical is simply unacceptable, and we strongly condemn it. Friends of the victim, when informed of this, began an earnest push to contact the Day of Dragons staff team to express their disappointment and frustration at this unacceptable response. They pointed out that the warning was inappropriate, as well as disproportionate to the crime. A predator had abused a vulnerable minor to the point of physical endangerment, and a single warning on his account lowered the severity of his offense to little more than him saying a bad word on their server. This was also the point we were made aware of the situation. We ourselves reached out to the staff team at Day of Dragons and asked for a response, and urged them to properly consider the ramifications of their own inaction and of Eagle's predatory actions. The staff team did not open themselves up for commentary, and we were stonewalled, told the issue would be resolved only between the parties involved. There are records of head Day of Dragons staff members making promises to release a statement to the involved parties at several times, as well as taking actions like deleting the Dragon Tester role. Unfortunately, not only were none of these deadlines ever met, but the Dragon Tester role was only deleted visibly on the Discord as a role. Those who had that role are still open to test the game development branch that they were given the role for in the first place. Until further notice, and as far as we are aware, Eagle still has access to this privilege despite the loss of the role overall. Due to the severe push for more appropriate action against Eagle to ensure the safety of their community, as to our knowledge he has victimized several other users as well to less severe degrees, the Day of Dragons staff have since, over 72 hours, issued a 2-week ban from the official community. Yet as we speak, he still remains a member of the official bug testing Discord, as well as a separate hidden Discord for Dragon testers that keeps him in direct contact with his victims. UDD staff are announcing this issue because the response to Eagle's behavior is unacceptable in the extreme. We condemn, in the strongest possible terms, the shoddy staff response that still sees him with access to the community and to victims. We condemn, in the strongest possible terms, the fact that staff will tell victims of abuse that their abusers acted out of concern for them. The second time they have condoned abuse with this excuse, as they said much the same thing after their head administrator tried to gaslight leaving staff into feeling guilty for leaving and trying to coerce them to sign an NDA. We are making this issue known to the public because the health and safety of an entire community is put in jeopardy when it is led by staff who do not react to clear instances of abuse, and especially the abuse of minors. And we believe that it is important that the community is aware of this situation so they can take proper steps to defend and protect themselves in the event the staff team refuse their moral obligations and professional duties. In response to this document being released, Midnight, the current owner of the Day of Dragons Discord, posted the following announcement. In regards to the situation regarding Crystalline Eagle and the unnamed miner, we initially banned Crystalline Eagle as a precautionary action to protect the miner until after we completed our investigation. Banning him was our only way to ensure no harm would come to the unnamed miner via our Discord server if the allegations proved to be true. However, after talking to both parties involved and all witnesses, the situation has been resolved and Crystalline Eagle's ban has been removed. The unnamed miner told us that, while upset, vented to a third party on our Discord who then brought it to the attention of multiple people, staff and non-staff included. We do not condone this third party's actions in bringing this situation to the attention of non-staff, which has fueled a fire of drama and witch hunting towards both the Day of Dragons staff and Crystalline Eagle that we condemn. In light of the recent Google document, the unnamed miner has told us that they had no knowledge of the document and never consented to it being released to the public. That said, the raid on our server spamming the document claiming that the unnamed miner had given consent for its release was a blatant lie that we can only assume was done to bring more harm and drama to our community and its members. We ask that all members stop talking about this situation as it has negatively impacted both the unnamed miner and Crystalline Eagle, who have both been the victims of selfish attempts to discredit our staff and cause a riot within our community. Such actions or attacks on our community members will not be tolerated and will result in permanent bans from our Discord server. Now, the statement Midnight made there, the unnamed miner has told us that they had no knowledge of the document and never consented to it being released to the public, is not accurate in the slightest. Something that the miner in question attempted to rectify, but Midnight has either failed to or has refused to update the announcement to relate accurate information. In this, the miner said to Midnight, "Hi Midnight, I wanted to say that I had agreed to a statement to be made about Eagle, but I consented under the guise that I was going to see the document before it was posted so I could clear anything up or help reword things. I didn't see anything and it was posted after I had said I was taking a break from the Discord. Multiple sources are saying that they would have waited for me to see it, but they felt that their hand was forced after Eagle was unbanned." So, there we have it. Hypocrites and liars. A more disgusting concoction of a development team and a moderation team I could not possibly conceive of if I tried. Now, I wanted to move away from the Texas-sized dumpster fire that is the Day of Dragons Discord and the seemingly never-ending stream of hypocrisy, lies, and rampant incompetence that infests it for this final segment before I wrap things up, because when dealing with a develop-by-number game development process, what can one expect except more of the same? Except this time, the development team attempted to pull a hasty retreat and backtrack. On January 17th, Jaos' Twitter account, that hilariously enough has me blocked, I see Jaos still holding true to his claims of accepting critique in grand fashion, posted the following: "Whatever could this be? The next update will include a little special something for Kickstarter backers." And at around the same time, the developers posted in the Discord this announcement about something small and cute for the Kickstarter backers. Now, obviously within these statements, Jo and the Day of Dragons development team were showing a clear intent to pass this little guy off as a new creation done special just for them. They are hype statements designed to excite the backers. The only problem with that is, of course, it's yet another bought asset which was found out, and this caused the Day of Dragons team to block a few people on Twitter that pointed it out and to end up backtracking and beating a hasty retreat that this dragon is no longer something special for Kickstarter backers as claimed, but is instead yet another placeholder asset that's likely not a placeholder asset.
This is the way.
A Bad Parrot, one of the developers, stated, "The dragon teased in the Twitter post is a temporary placeholder. We never claimed to have made it. We are using it to test features such as Kickstarter exclusive access and statistic effects prior to the addition of the custom Kickstarter dragons. That way we can ensure they work, save time when we add the custom models, and give Kickstarter supporters something to play with while they wait." And Jo, in the Day of Dragons Discord, welcome back Jo apparently, stated, "The buff dragon is not a placeholder for any specific Kickstarter dragon. It is for backer reward functionality mechanic testing. It's just a perk for Kickstarter backers until at least one Kickstarter dragon model is added to the game." And then, in the Day of Dragons dev vlog, Jaos showcased a placeholder dragon for the quote, buff dragon that, well, buffs other dragons. No other real information was provided within the video aside from the bugs that were put into place surrounding the spawn point oasis that newborns are, I'm guessing, supposed to be able to consume for food, and some new AI creatures that promptly slaughtered Jaos' buff dragon the moment he got too close. And while it could be a continuation of the pervasive incompetence and demonstrable pattern of lies and deliberate misrepresentations that has been on display from Jaos for as long as I've been aware of this game's existence, I personally do not buy this excuse that it was a simple placeholder dragon to test integration mechanics after the team advertised the dragon itself as something for the Kickstarter backers. If it is a placeholder, advertise it as a placeholder. This is not a difficult concept to grasp, and yet Jaos, in his infinite and unbridled wisdom, is simply incapable of wrapping his mind around such a thing. Well, what can I say to all of that? That was a lot. I knew the video would be long, but I had no idea it would grow to such monstrous proportions. The sad thing of it is, this video could have been longer. But to be honest, I am exhausted. With the loss of information that had to be refound, duplicated, rewritten, and reworked, this is, by an order of magnitude, the most difficult video I have ever had to create. But it's not just for my own selfish woe-is-me reasons that the video is difficult. No, it is far more difficult because of the information that it contains. Because of the actions Jaos and his team have taken, how they have shown a consistency of rampant hypocrisy and constant lying. Jaos claims to be open and accepting of critique, but only of critique that praises him. He deliberately and actively silences legitimate critique whenever and wherever possible. I was originally going to state that at least Jaos was not quite so brain-dead as to attempt a spurious DMCA strike against either IGP, Icy Caress, or myself, but even in that, he has shown just how spiteful and vitriolic he can be, targeting his largest critics and attempting to weaponize the DMCA in order to shield his actions from others and to protect his wallet at all costs. Regular viewers of my channel will already know what I have to say about Jaos' spurious DMCA takedown attempts, and that is to say, critique is important. There are so many games developers and publishers in this world that do not want an informed consumer. They do not want you to know what it is they have been attempting, and they do not want you to know what they have been doing. They simply want mindless hype and an unending stream of money, and many of them will go to great pains to protect that, especially when their own actions call into question the legitimacy of their product and bring to light the deeply unethical and immoral statements made or actions taken. Critique can take many forms. Sometimes it is a simple review of the game in question, sometimes it is critical commentary or journalistic endeavors to get to the root of the matter in terms of the game's development or of the actions of its developers. It shines a light into the dark recesses that people like Jaos do not at all wish you to see. Critique is vital to the concept of consumer awareness and consumer advocacy. It is a necessity for making informed purchasing decisions, and in terms of Jaos and Day of Dragons, it is under attack. It came under attack from Jaos when he began silencing outspoken opposition on the Steam discussions. It came under attack when he removed my video critique on Steam. It came under attack again when he falsely claimed my user review had breached Steam community guidelines. It came under attack with his ironically enough draconian stance within his community Discord, and it has come under attack once again with his attempts to forcefully take down IGP's and my videos and cause harm to our channels and our livelihoods. He has acted in a manner that can, at its most charitable, be referred to as childish and immature. A fine thing to see from a game developer who has amassed over $500,000 of other people's money in terms of Kickstarter funds and another estimated $180,000 to $200,000 in early access sales. And all of it off of the back of minimum possible effort, the eager zealousness of early adopters anxious enough to dive in with both feet in order to get the opportunity to play a video game as a dragon, and with a fair amount of dumb, blind luck. Jaos has and continues to violate numerous Steam terms of service. This much has been shown. This much has been proven. The only rule that remains up in the air at this point is the hardcode bans that, while we wait impatiently for the sleeping giant that is Valve to awaken, remains in effect. Jaos claimed to be accepting of critique, and yet had immediately removed the video I had posted to Steam and even attempted to silence my user review on that site, which again was the most upvoted review on that storefront. an attempt that worked for a time, but was overturned once Valve finally got around to actually reviewing the ban Jao had placed on my user review. Jao grew impatient over delays within a news story, one that was still and is still actively being worked on, and so he released the interview to the general public. It was, in my opinion, a move born of both desperation and of frustration, because you see the most vocal and predominant voices discussing the game, Insomnia, IGP, Icy Caress, Big Fry TV, and myself. No one has anything truly complimentary about the game or its developer to say any longer. Any potential goodwill, any hope of redemption, Jao has squandered. And it would have been such a simple thing to do as well. Show something other than placeholders, anything really aside from the store-bought assets and vague claims. Show a willingness to accept that, hey, this might be an issue, and then take corrective action on the website, the storefront, and the public messaging. Really show any reason at all for people to be able to at least hold out some vain hope that Jao might be a professional or even a man about things, and none of these controversies would have arisen, or rather, very few of them. Because Jao and his team have been placed under a very large and uncomfortable microscope, and it is a microscope of their own creation. It is a situation that should not be envied in any way, but it is one that should very much be expected. It is one that even YouTubers tend to face from time to time. The trick is to rise above, to not engage in pettiness, to not engage in spitefulness and childish endeavors, to avoid the disgusting practice of attempting to weaponize one's own follower base against some random individual because of some idiotic perceived slight, of hurt feelings, to not engage in lies, to not make claims of acceptance only to directly and actively work in contrary to those claims. Jao has done all of these things and more. He has continued without fail to exhibit the worst embodiment of a game developer, of a man, and even at times of a human being devoid of moral or ethical considerations. And his team? They are, to my mind, no better. They have been led by example, after all, and Jao has exhibited the most poignant example in the world of precisely what not to do as a head of a community or of the developer of a game. Jao enjoys calls to action. So I have a call to action for Jao. He said he had sent cease and desist letters. I would challenge him to actually send them, as it has been confirmed that he has failed to do so. He's threatened legal action. File a damn lawsuit. Of course, I highly doubt he would ever dare do such a thing, because one process in legal doctrine surrounding scenarios such as these is the act of discovery. And I don't doubt for 1 second that Jao would at all wish his cycle of development, or general lack thereof, to come to light. Jao is a dirty dev. He is, in my opinion, censorious scum, an utter incompetent, and a complete fool. And I do not say this very often, but if he continues as he has, this game, such as it is, will ultimately be at best an example in how not to go through life as a human being. Stop banning people. Stop deleting legitimate critiques. Stop silencing voices that speak out, asking you to stop walking down the path you have gone down. Do not file DMCA takedowns in order to assuage your own festering sphincter. It is not only completely unethical, but it is against the fucking law. And if YouTube had actually managed to take those videos down under this spurious attempt at DMCA abuse, you can bet your ass that I would have drug his ass into a court of law and I would have won. As it stands now, a lawsuit may not be able to take place, but we will see. The road Jao is walking is as destructive as it is complete idiocy, and it is one that will see the squandering and the waste of all of those people's money that simply hoped for a good dragon game and who will not be able to see that hope fulfilled with Day of Dragons. But if all that is in your heart is spitefulness and hate, if all you desire is an atmosphere of confrontation, of conflict, of war, you came to the right place. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha. I'll see you next time.